As you traverse through the depths of a dark cave, your journey leads you to a gaping mouth that opens into a majestic hall chiseled from solid stone. Clusters of translucent mushrooms adorn the surroundings, casting an ethereal neon glow upon the polished architecture. The vastness of the hall is such that the ceiling remains obscured from view, merging seamlessly with the darkness and mist that pervade the place. With a sense of foreboding, you prepare your weapon and proceed with caution, unaware of what lies ahead. Suddenly, a clicking sound followed by shifting of rock behind you jolts you into a state of high alert. Turning to look, you see two glimmering circles. Before you can fully react, your body betrays you, succumbing to an unseen force that washes over your mind. Your consciousness suffers delusions, not able to discern what's real or what's not. You are rendered powerless as you find yourself raising your weapon and charging your fellow companions. You're confused. Welcome back, everyone. Today's piece is the classic Underdark dwelling Umberhulk. So first things first, I'll grab a reference to help me out. I think this is probably the most iconic Umberhulk art that I know of, aside from Chainmail, but I won't get into the history of D&D. This is used in 5th edition, I believe, but this is to make sure that I have the overall vibes of the Underhulk. The pincers, make sure that the antennas are in the right spot, that sort of thing. We are going to put my twist and style into this version of him, of course. And I see from the reference piece, and if you know the artist of this work, please comment it below. I do like to give credit when credit is due. But the issue I have with this is he's not very hulky, right? I'm not bashing it, it's awesome art. But when I think of Umberhulk, I think of a yoked out giant bug monstrosity. You know, Umber Hulk, it's in the name. So we're gonna make this one a little beefcake, you know. He doesn't skip chest day at all. Alright, let's get that rough body shaped up a bit more. I'm going to use a few more references. Maybe the Hulk from Marvel even. I think that'd be a good one for the muscle tone. This piece is a commission for an upcoming site called Mordold. I hope I'm saying that right. This site is going to be focused on all kinds of art from various artists for DMs or players to use free of charge. And hopefully this becomes pretty big, so there's plenty to choose from versus going on the internet and surfing, you know, for hours on end trying to find something specific that you want to use. And then also on the site, there's going to be contact information regarding each artist that's featured. So it's a great way if you ever want to commission out any artist, if you like a art style of theirs and you want something specific, that information's there where you can reach out to them and you guys can, you know, talk numbers, strike a deal. There isn't a launch date yet for this. I haven't heard any talk about it, so it's just something we're gonna have to keep our eyes peeled on and wait for, but I am pretty excited to see how this turns out. So today's video, I wanted to go over a system of detailing out your artwork. This piece is a great opportunity to talk about this, being it's all organic. And what I mean by that is, you know, the Umberhulk doesn't wear clothing, doesn't have a weapon, no secondary objects. So with these, I really like to get in there and make some awesome detail. But we won't be painting out the exact detail, but painting the effect of detail. Later on, I use a reference image of an insect. It's a beetle. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by the effect of detail. So I want to touch on 3 rules for this process I practice in many of my work. Rule 1, observe attentively. Detail in your drawings begin with a keen observation, training your eye to notice even the subtle nuances in your subject matter. Take your time to study the intricate shapes, textures, and patterns, as well as colors. Whether you're drawing from life or a reference photo, immerse yourself in those details. Notice how the light interacts with the surfaces, creating shadows and highlights that add depth and dimension to the work or the image. Also, you can think of the subject as if it was right in front of you in real life, 3D. This is for, if you're using a reference image. Imagine how the light would interact with it, where the shadows would be, how the surface is, things of that nature. Rule 2, break it down. For highly detailed pieces, the first thing that you want to do is render out the most general shapes so the viewer can recognize it right away when, at first glance. In this case, it's going to be a body with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, beefed out. These general shapes would include the sections of exoskeleton, and I think that's what the Umberhulk is, right? It's based off a beetle, so it'd be like an exoskeleton versus like, meat or something. But what I'll do is I'll take those bigger shapes, like the back, his forearms, and I'll kind of render those all first, just the general shape of it using shadows and highlights. And then from there I have more manageable areas where I can focus more heavily on detail. It's kind of a nice way to just break it all down and then focus on those individual parts to get the best detail you can. Quick demonstration to illustrate this. So I have my Umberhulks here. Each of them have highlights to show their tier of detail. So for the first one, in general shapes, they're highlighted. These shapes are what help the viewer's brain kind of figure it out once they, glance at it, the overall subject. The second Umberhulk has the second tier detail highlighted. This level of detail is like the suggestion detail, not trying to be exact on any reference pieces or even real life references. In this case, it's going to be that beetle image I use, but this is just kind of like the rough rendering patterns of the texture of the beetle. I'm not trying to go exact. And then that third Umberhulk has tier 3 detailed highlighted, and this would be from anything to claws, belts, buckles, clothing, the real little stuff. At this level, it's more important to focus on a focal point for this. So when you're rendering out a piece and you want the face to be more vocal, like that's the first thing that you want your viewers to see, you typically want to go on that level 3 around that face. Now this is just what I call the system when it comes to the breakup and the detail when creating artwork. I'm sure there are many other names for it and different variations, but this is kind of my way of going about it. Also, another great method that I want to share with you is silhouetting. And there's 2 methods that I usually use. One would be for line art, and that is to make your lines thicker around a subject or a character you want to stand out. Or even if their arm is foreboding or foreshortening, I think that's what it's called. But anything in front of a character that's kind of going towards the viewer, you kind of want to make a thicker line, make it stand out more. And then the other method for rendering out is lighting. And what I mean by that is using a soft brush, picking yellow or some kind of light source color, and using that brush to kind of paint over the back of the character. this concept is used in theatrical plays. If you ever seen a theatrical play before, you know that they use a lot of lights. This is the same kind of reason. They want the characters on the stage to pop out, so they will use different lighting behind them to do so. It kind of separates the subject from the background noise. And those are the kind of two that I mainly use. I find these to be really awesome. As I was creating that Umberhulk scene in the beginning of the video, I had one of those "why didn't I say that before" moments. So I haven't seen anything specific pertaining to this, but what I got out of it is those two bottom eyes that the Umberhulk have is designed for the confusing gaze ability. I imagine them to light up in patterns like a cuttlefish does, with that wavy morphy pattern, and that's what conflicts the confusing gaze upon their targets. I mean, it makes sense, right? That'd be kind of cool to see too. And finally, the third rule I use is patience and precision. Drawing and rendering detailed artwork requires this, like 100%. Take your time to execute each stroke deliberately, paying close attention to accuracy and proportion. Now, this would probably be like once you get closer to the finished stages of your render. By all means, get as loose as you want to when you're doing the blocking in stage, but once you get to that final line or finish line, you want to start making sure that everything lines up, it looks good, colors are good, things like that. Don't rush the process. Instead, embrace the opportunity to immerse yourself fully in the intricacies of the subject matter. You know, creating art should be therapeutic, a meditation. You should lose yourself in it. You know, lose track of time and even your surroundings. Just enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching today. My name is Will, and if you got some inspiration and learned some stuff, please like and subscribe. It would be a huge help and support my expensive art habit. As far as Mordold goes, let's just keep our eyes peeled and anticipate the best. Till next time.